So this is the Telerex part, as mentioned, and we want to shortly make a recap on what we spoken today and what Telerex is available to offer to you, customers. So whenever you are powering electronics, connecting electronics, managing electronics, this creates all kinds of processes. Not to forget, of course, also heat. So then you have to protect your electronics. And this was the main subject of today. I'm not going to repeat too much, but it was mentioned several times that please bear this in mind and be on time when designing, that you also take into account the thermal and the EMC challenges. And avoid being late in the, let's say, roadmap, because when you're prototyping or even validating, this can be cause a big delay, not to forget all the costs and all other issues and troubles that can go with this. That's why we started to create an ecosystem. This event is a big and a good example of this. Connecting people together, suppliers, distributors, partners, customers, people with the same interest and experience. We learned today that it's a story of game, set, match. You have to play a lot of games to win a set, or some games to win a set. Before you win the match, you also have to win some sets. So it's also some trial and error. Sometimes you take one step back to afterwards move 2 steps forward. So this is the game that needs to be played. And of course we learned that the theory is not always the practice, and that numbers can change if you apply it in a real life environment. Of course the goal is to improve efficiency for you when designing, optimize the test results before going to validation, and at the end also minimize cost. I think that's a real big and important remark to make. What can Telerex, or what do we offer in this traject, in this project? Independent, because the middle circle is dynamic, of course. So we offer consultancy and training services, which can be fully separately done from a project. It can be in-house at your premises, together with some of our thermal and EMC partners. We do, together again with those partners, analyze and test equipment. And at the end, we want, of course, to play our role as a distributor, as a partner, to assemble solutions, produce them at a certain environment or in a certain place, have a partner, and then also play a logistic role in this field as our technical distribution role. What do we ask you, our customers? If you have a project, an idea, a drawing, a concept, and you have some questions or unknown challenges, please throw them into our basket, and we will add our experience together with our suppliers, and this one had to be modified, but it was starting with consultancy before we check what suppliers can be applicable for your specific project, and then also look together to the next step in the project to assemble and do the necessary logistics. And that's the way we want to grow together to a partnership in solving a project which has thermal and EMC challenges, of course. A very nice example of this partnership is the partnerships that we have since many years with two specific companies on the thermal side and the EMC side, both present today, Norbert and Mart. So I want to ask you to join me on stage. Maybe, Olaf, could you also provide him with a small mic? Because on the next couple of slides, we just want to show some projects that we managed together to come to a specific result. I'm just going to wait a little bit. This slide, I'm not going to go into detail, but these are some examples we realized together, and how did we realize them. There you can see it's a engineering and service consultancy with customers, based on experience, on in-depth knowledge we have on thermal management and EMC, which finally leads to analyzing, testing, and designing of cooling solutions, which can be very broad range of products and combinations or assemblies, including all the products that you are able to see downstairs at the tabletops from the different suppliers and from Telerex itself.
So.
Okay.
Right on
Perfect.
time? Yes.
Okay. Norbert,
Yeah.
I think you're first to go.
Okay.
So we'll
Show some slides.
show some slides together.
Yeah, this was an application for a customer who would like to make a refrigeration system, a small refrigeration system to keep his bottles cool. And the request was to do that with Peltiers. Only the Peltiers available, or the Peltier assemblies available on the market were not suitable enough for this application. So they came to Telerex, and we went together to this customer and we started to discuss. And the first thing what I started was with the smart wizard of Laird, and then we came up with some solutions to make it specific for this customer. And what you see in this slide is how the principle did work. We have an air-to-air Peltier cooling solution, air from the outside, air at the inside, and actually what we did, we did make a full model of it. We first did some analytical calculation, then we make a computational model of it to check if it is really doing what it should do. And then we designed the whole cooling solution around it. So that is the heat sinks, the attachments, springs if needed, the Peltier. And then we tested everything. We built a prototype of it, and we experimental test if it really is doing what it should do. That's actually what come out. And then at the end, we have the cooling solution for it. We have the full assembly, and Telerex can then help with supplying this thing.
Correct. Maybe some words. Yes, sorry.
Yeah.
Some words on your company.
I have a thermal management company which is specialized in cooling of electronics. Since 2003, I worked together with Telerex in 2008. We help the industry with advice by doing consultancy service. And consultancy means we do analytical calculation, computational studies, and we do experimental testing. We have a fully equipped thermal lab where we have wind tunnels, climatic chamber. We can measure flow, we can do infrared imaging, we can do velocity measurement, whatever is needed, but we can also prototype. If you have, for instance, heat pipe solutions, normally you design it, then the manufacturing has to make something and send it to you. We manufacture the first prototypes so that we can perform the test, and that will also be the input to the final manufacturing. So first small series we can also do and then supply it via Telerex. Next to the consultancy service, we do also training together with Telerex on customer side, but also more in general that we do it at Telerex side for many customers. And we have a successful operation since 2008. It's very Telerex helps me, my team, to get to new projects, to new customers, and we help them to come up with new solutions, what they can sell to their customers. And it's a quite successful approach. And what I really like about the cooperation, it's really open. Likewise, we know really from each other. There's no things hiding, no political stuff, and that's very
open communication.
Yeah, that
indeed.
is really nice.
And also towards customers, because this is an example on which a customer can decide which direction his project will go in the future. Is it even possible what he wants to realize? No. And so with this information, he can go back internally to check out what needs to be done to make this project a success. And this can be in different steps, different phases, offered to customers, all the services that we mentioned.
Yep.
Okay. Don't hesitate to talk to Norbert, or afterwards ask us to get in touch with Norbert to discuss your projects and ideas.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Norbert. Many thanks. I know why you're waiting. You're waiting for the bottle of beer, but you will get it. No problem. Okay. Next up, Mart Coenen from EMCMCC. Mart, welcome. And we just made 2 slides with some 4 pictures on also same projects where we worked on together.
Yes. Well, first let me introduce myself. I'm Mart Coenen. I'm doing this for 43 years now. So probably before you were born, for quite a few. I'm involved still in standardization, doing technical papers at symposia, but I'm also doing practical work, and that's the big fun. This is a particular herd, which you can use at your home as a fireplace. It's a very nice one. It's a very expensive one too, by the way, and it complies with all the regulations with respect to how do you call the environmental requirements as such with respect to pollution. It's a gas herd, so gas is quite expensive nowadays, but they also have it for wood, and they also have it with video even nowadays. Yeah, they can emulate your fireplace, just by video. Yeah, you can buy that, of course, with an app on, from everywhere, but nevertheless, there's also a heating element involved, so you can even get heat. This device had a problem due to the fact that it was over-dimensioned. And that's a quite typical example which I see in the field. Most of the people, when they do calculations on their power supply, they just add up all the max power that a product might use. And then ultimately they come all together at, let's say, 200 watts. And then ultimately the product is built together, and then it comes to, hey, it's only 30 watts. Okay? But when it's only 30 watts, then the power supply says, oh, I'm not particularly well loaded, so my power factor controller doesn't work anymore, because it only works above 50% of loading. So you have to move over. So that makes that you have to hustle around with the expected max value, what you can see, what you have to bear in mind with respect to, of course, the thermal conditions under which that power supply is used in order to, let's say, comply with all the legal requirements. Because if you have a 50-watt power supply, you don't have any harmonic requirements to be met. As long as you are below 70 volt amps, you do not have to comply with anything. So, okay, 75 watts is a good one. If it's loaded up to 40 watts or 30 watts, it's good. If it's 200 watts, then you know for certain that you need to comply and that you need a more expensive device for no reason. Yeah? So ultimately, it is a balance between what is really needed and what is good enough. Yeah? And in this field, we have to play good enough, because otherwise you're just feeding the government. Yeah. Now, the other one is, let's say, well, for the elder care. Nowadays, you have to entertain the elder people, which I'm one of them, by the way. But nevertheless, I don't like the tool, but that's another thing. They do a projection of a game, and then you have to find the fishes or whatever, or you have to do a puzzle, or you have to do anything on any table, any surface you can do. It's projector with respect to, in combination with the, how do you call it, a visual readout on what you are doing on that table, and it's all confined in the product, which is called Tover. It's commercially available already. Had same problem as before, yeah? One other thing, you didn't enter. The Pan Olmstrom wasn't there.
Wait a second.
Wait a second. No, that's the in-house development.
Correct.
Yeah. In-house development. Mechatronics produces LED lamps for, how do you call it? Agriculture, it is called. Yeah. So whether you want to grow your own wheat or whatever, at least you can use such a lamp. And this has to comply, of course, with all the regulations. It's mostly in a humid environment, and therefore it has to comply with a lot of constraints other than just providing some light. Yeah, the light has to be according to all kind of regulations, but also electrical insulation and everything has to be in the right format to ensure that it is safe to operate. The last one, you also had it.
Last but not least.
Hey, here we have it. Yeah. This is a very nice one. It's the machine which you can see at McDonald's or whatever system. Funny thing to mention, there you have, let's say, how do you call it, the ordering system. And you order hamburger, beer, whatever. Beer you don't get, but nevertheless. Nevertheless, it complies to a lot of, or it has to comply to a lot of standards. And now the fun comes that it's using display. And now, hey, display, as I said before, as long as the device is using less than 75 watts, it doesn't have to comply with anything. So they are using a display with 50 watt or something like that. But now the customer builds a system two-sided. So there's one display on the front and one display on the back. That's 100 watt. It needs to comply. So I'm using 2 times a non-compliant display with respect to the requirements which are applicable above 75 watts. So that means that unfortunately you have to give it a fail, a reject, because it's not allowed to use such a system. Yeah? Then ultimately we come to the conclusion, at least that's the collaborative item, instead of using a 230 volts operated display, we use a 12 volts operated display and supply it from a single power supply. The single power supply is able to provide me the power factor correction which I need. Yeah? Can eliminate a lot of high voltage, hazardous voltage, as we call it, 230 volts, in the system, and then it can make a product compliant. Don't forget, I mean, I'm also looking at the guys from Schaffner, as well as the guy from Laird. Where is he? Yeah, there he is. You can do a lot of things for a single product, but in 99% of the application cases, you are building a hybrid. You're building things together. Yeah? And that means that all the products which you have come together at that socket. Yeah? And if I have, for instance, in this particular application, 5 power AC-DC converters together in a wall outlet, I know for 100% sure that I will fail leakage current, that I will get huge resonances in between the mains filters as used with each of the filters. Yeah? And as a result, I get let's say, a complete integrated product which will fail. So I have to rethink on how I'm going to construct my power system in such a way that I can deal with all those requirements at once. Yeah? Otherwise, it is painful at the end. You have built everything together, it's working, but it's failing. The legally enforced requirements, which means that you are not allowed to sell it. Or at least then you are liable as such. Now, I have a few cases at hand, which go now to court, where we have these kind of things in the market. We are talking about 17,000 products in the market. And if you are fined as such, it may be such that you have to withdraw all those 17,000 products. You have to repay whatever you have ripped them off. Yeah? And then ultimately you have to start anew. Yeah? So ultimately that is a nice thing. It goes way on. For those of you in the Netherlands, probably have seen last week that a bus was crashed by a train. Yeah? It's the third accident in a row of that phenomena. And it has to do with the fact that a train is provided with a lot of electronics, power electronics nowadays, is making noise over the rail way before it gets to the railroad crossing. And when the bus or a car or whatever crosses over, it is interfered. If it's driving fast enough, the momentum will pass over the railroad crossing. If it's driving slowly, as unfortunate with this bus, as unfortunate with a, let's say, excavator a couple of years ago in Prinsenbeek, it is completely ruining either the truck or the train or both of them. Yeah? So a lot of things are really critical. This is less critical, let's be honest. But nevertheless, I mean, you build yourself a product and at the end, yeah, you have to start anew. And that's a bit, yeah, awful for your developments. So we can help you with that. Come with it. Yeah? We will tell you where to go, where not to go, what to choose, what not to choose. No commercial added value, as we call it. Yeah, for them it is, but for me, it's not. It's only the hours which I charge you for. Yeah? Thank you very much.
Many thanks.
Yeah.
You can imagine if you have both guys with you, you can fill up many days together. That's why we saved them for the last. No. Many thanks, of course, also for you. A gift will be presented, and towards our audience, you hear they are very enthusiastic, and this needs information input needs to be checked with solutions from suppliers we have, with your ideas, with your projects. So, and in that way we can create, the ecosystem that we want. Final slides. That was too fast, sorry. I mentioned already in the beginning that the presentations were recorded. We will provide you with a link once the presentations are uploaded, and we will do this on our Telerex website. We have knowledge pages available on which you can already find presentations from Mart, from Norbert, from other suppliers online. So it's also a good tool, together with the tools that you saw from our suppliers today, to find information and to check if what you are doing is good and you're doing it in the proper way. On our website, we have also a customer case part where you can find some customer cases which are described what the challenge was and how we solved it. So this is some additional information you can find on